let's talk about the ceiling drop trap, a trap that I never in my life thought that I would cover on this channel, but recently it's undergone some major changes. A slight damage buff, so it's actually usable for killing enemies. It drops from 3 tiles high, which I don't think is new, but it's certainly important for what I'm going to say next, and that's that its impact is also quite impressive considering it can knock enemies down hills and stall them by a lot. Not only that, but when it hits an enemy and it bounces up and down up to 4 times now, which I believe is an improvement from the previous update, seeing as we're now on the Chaos Physics engine, which is a great update because now this trap doesn't lag nearly as much when you use it, so spamming these is as efficient as ever. You can do that without slaughtering your frames nowadays, which is very, very nice because you will need to spam more than one of these if you perk it as I have here. Now, it's also really good because when the tires drop up and down, it actually stuns enemies beyond just knocking them down hills. I've seen this cancel out propanes, and it will definitely trip up almost every enemy that it hits, and I've used this on every single tunnel in our endurance in my video coming out later on. I'll link it below when that goes up. But other than all that, this isn't exactly a damaging trap. It's great for spamming over hills. I've been using this in regular missions now because it stalls enemies so well and actually does an okay enough damage while it's at it, because even though it does not so great damage, because it can continuously knock an enemy down the hill, it's very likely that most enemies will get hit by at least 2 shots usually, and that makes the ceiling drop trap a very effective tool. So as for the best perks, then this is pretty simple. I think you're going to need a durability perk down here. I don't think building health or healing is that important, seeing as way up on the ceiling is almost never where this is going to be getting attacked. You always want to build this 3 tiles high or maybe 2 tiles high, only if it's going down a slope. Like in this picture here, you can see that the ones up close, I mean, it did make it easier for me to just build it in 3x3, and in a conventional mission, that's a factor, because setting up trap tunnels in a timely manner is kind of nice if you don't want to constantly be trapping, but 1 tile high is nice because it'll just hit the ramp and fall down quicker rather than bouncing so much. But if you're going to be building this above the spawn, you definitely want this 3 tiles up so that it bounces as much as possible, because every single time the tires bounce, they do damage. And so I think durability is just the best bang for your buck down here. As for the perks, this is tricky. You're going to want at least 1 reload. That's the easiest I can say. You're locked to physical, and an extra damage perk is nice here. But as for crit rate and crit damage, I do have it set up that way. I think that's okay, because double reload, double damage might be the best way to drop the tires as often as possible and get things down the hill. But if you're taking proper and full advantage of any ramp that you're using, you're almost always going to have at least 2 of these, and most likely 3 or 4 ceiling drop traps. If it's a long enough slope, most often I have 3. You know, 1 at the flat end of the base, 1 on the ramp, and then 1 at the very top, because it can sort of knock enemies sideways and help move them further back down the ramp. So with 3 of these, you're actually triggering, you know, not only every 9.5 seconds, but really closer to every 3 seconds. And when enemies get knocked down a hill, it's almost always a 3-second stun, you know, getting knocked down / getting, you know, just stalled by the tires in general. So even though a second reload perk and double damage would do perfectly fine damage and work probably extra well, I don't know that it's been insanely necessary, because I beat endurance with this exact perk setup and it worked fine for me. But that's definitely a consideration for everybody else. As for the people who are absolutely seeking maximum damage, I think crit rate and crit damage will work completely fine, because it is more damage than double damage, although not a serious amount. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward with the ceiling drop trap. You put them on ramps because they slide down hills, and you blanket them over spawns if you really want to be lazy. And for that purpose, you get a little bit of extra damage, reload, and durability to make sure it stays in the fight. And I think it's an excellent addition to your arsenal. So if you use it correctly, you'll be glad that you have it. I'll link my other trap videos in the description below, because I'm going to be covering more very soon here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.